Hey y'all, this is TCA Gaming, and in this video I am going to do an X-Ray CAS review. We're going to kind of go over what my experience was with grading vintage boxes as well as some modern boxes. And then I'm not going to be able to do the full review, unfortunately, but I've been putting it off for long enough. I'm going to do the majority of the review, and then we'll end up having a follow-up later on. I'll tell you kind of why that is. But let's go ahead and jump into it because there's several things that I want to go over before we do that. Oh yeah, for those of you asking about the surgery, this is my nose. You can kind of see the nostrils. They're not perfect, but they are closer to size now. And if you're wondering why my nose looks bigger, I kind of knew that was going to happen. It was just taking cartilage from one spot. They were having to break the nose on both sides, take the cartilage here, and then rebuild the end of my nose. And so technically it should be a little bit longer, but the swelling should come down a little bit. But hopefully I'll be able to breathe a little better once it's finally healed up. This is doing pretty good for just a week or so out. I still got some stitches in there, but anyways, definitely appreciate you guys, your comments in the last video. But all right, so let's start with this. So here is an X-Ray Authority. This is the letter of authenticity. Here you have an X-Ray serial number. This says X-Ray 0655. And like you can see right here, this is for a booster box, 36 packs, no density, all this different stuff here. And it's dated from April 14th. We're talking about almost August. So it has been a while, but there's a process to this. It wasn't just X-Ray. I had to do X-Ray plus CAS, and there were a couple other hiccups that come along the way, but I'll explain some of that as well. But here's the QR code. So if you follow this, so if you follow the QR code, it'll take you to just the page where you can put in, and you can access this from a computer. X-Ray dash, this is 0655. So when you verify it, you can actually see there's the letter of authenticity. Shows the box, the grade, kind of see the little reveal there. Actually shows the front of the box, which would be important because it'll help you identify the logos. It's kind of like a fingerprint. Same thing, backside of the box there. So there are 4 images that you get that you have with this. And this right here, as you can see, it's not just the X-ray image. You've got the scan there with the CAS. And so we're going to look at that a little bit better on the box itself, which I did get this from CAS, that's Collector's Archive Service. I think they're doing away with this. They're going to have a digital copy that's provided. And then, of course, I think you might be able to request the paper copy, something like that. I can't remember for sure, but where you could just print it out yourself. But this actually goes through and tells everything that's going on. But this is what the CAS case looks like. You can kind of see it's got the rounded edges. I do like that. It has an insert in here to keep it from shaking left to right. I assume that that's like for sizing differences. I don't really like, you can go this way and that way, which it's unfortunate because if you look, you see that box right there, you can see where when it was stuck, I don't know what it was stuck to. It actually pulled some of the white stuff off of the booster box itself. And same thing, you can kind of see where it's pulled off of the box here. So that's really kind of unfortunate because you would you definitely don't want that, but it's pulled off of the logos that were on the box. So the glue or whatever was on the inside here actually ended up damaging the box some. Another thing to note about the CAS acrylic boxes, they're not fully sealed. I don't know if you can see that, but I could push my finger in there. I don't know if that's done with a reason, but like I can take this, like this is a sleeve. Well, I thought it was gonna be a little easier than this, but that side was crumpled up. You can see I can slide the sleeve, down in there into the box. So the box, this acrylic really isn't, it's not sealed, and the whole glue thing, I think that is, I'm definitely not happy about that part because it's pulling off the logos from the box itself. So I can imagine it might be doing some kind of damage to the plastic, but I really don't. I can't tell for sure, but you can see like where some of the plastic or some of the glue escaped from right there. But also the acrylic really isn't that thick. You can kind of see here. It's not your standard 10 mil for like your thicker cases. So I do like the rounded edges, and I do like having an insert in there. But I would expect the quality of these to hopefully get better, especially with the glue part. To me, that's a no-no. That's going to really make some people mad. But if you look on this side, I like this part. So instead of getting the X-ray tamper evidence sticker directly on the box, because it went from X-ray, never broke chain of custody, from X-ray went to CAS, they were able to put the tamper evidence sticker inside of the case. So it's not on the box, it's on the case. And so you have both the CAS certification sticker here. You have their little hologram sticker with the serial number, and then you have the X-ray sticker as well, which I haven't tried this QR code, but we're about to. See if this works. Let's open it up in Chrome. Oh wait, I don't know why it is with my phone. If I use my camera one time, I have to like X out to reuse the link part, and then it'll open up. So let's see what this says. Got a gnat right here. See if it takes directly there. All right, so this one, instead of having to retype it in, it takes you directly to that specific item. And you can see here is that same Evolving Skies box. It's got that. It's got the collector archive service and the stamp. So this verifies. So the registry is really nice. But I don't know if you guys caught it on the label. This one's an 8, but look at what's going on here. So this is, it's got the Pokemon Company, Evolving Skies, but it's first print booster box with 36 packs, and then it also says uncirculated. So the only way that I could get them to agree to do this is if I sent them 2 separate Evolving Skies cases. One was the first print, and one was the regular print that was done afterwards that didn't have the initial release date on it. And so you could see the difference in the first print and the later print. And so I was providing the evidence for, both of the different printing types. And the only way that you get that with Evolving Skies booster boxes is with the sealed cases. And so I had those sealed cases from release. So I knew that one was first print, one was not. And then I also had to send them in cases where all of the stop tape was fully intact. And by doing that, I was able to get it labeled as uncirculated. And this was something that I talked to the guy at Golden about. I'm not sure if I could bring up his name or not, so I won't. But you know who you are. Thank you very much. He said it'd be good to, if you can, get them labeled as uncirculated. So I had to send X-Ray the sealed cases, full sealed cases of a first print Evolving Skies, of first print Evolving Skies, and then the later print Evolving Skies, so they could document the difference between first print and not first print. And then they had to be the ones to break the seal. Then they had to authenticate all 6 boxes inside. They kept the first print separate from the regular. And then from there, I had to provide a label to ship it from X-Ray directly to CAS so that the custody or the line of custody, it never broke. So there was never a time where there was somebody who wasn't in the grading process who had their hands on these cards. So the only people who have touched these Evolving Skies boxes are people at either X-Ray or CAS. And then at CAS, that's when they were ultimately encapsulated inside of this acrylic case. All right, so that's explaining kind of everything there. There was, like I said, there was a couple different processes to this, and having to navigate both companies, and the fact that neither one of these were things that they did before. So like I had to specifically request, I had to go through a talk with them about how, the proper procedure for making sure that, we can get them labeled as uncirculated, as first print, and so forth. So that took extra time, and I'm really appreciative to these companies for working with me and allowing that to happen. All right, next up we have another one here. So let's see. So like this one, like I'm not seeing any glue issues on it. You can see where some of the white logo fuzz has started to come off. If you're familiar with Sword and Shield, that was something that kind of happened, especially with the Vivid Voltage reprint. It was pretty rough at that time. So I'm not even sure how you would avoid something like that. But again, all of these boxes, they have, they're just, for some reason, they're open on this back bottom seal. But yeah, here we go. So this one, this is just a booster box, 36 packs. It doesn't say first print on it, but this one is still uncirculated. So that's the difference between the other one and then this one. So these are case fresh, opened at the grading and authentication facilities. That's what that uncirculated means. And so this is like a regular print. Now, I did have 12 of these boxes that were graded. Most of them were 8s and 7s. However, I did manage to pull, here's a mint 9 for the first print booster box uncirculated for Evolving Skies. So that was pretty cool. I think I might have had 1 or 2 9s for the first print. And you might be thinking, if these are these are uncirculated direct from case, like how do you not get any 10s out of 12 boxes? And the thing is, I don't disagree with the grades. Once I got the boxes in, I kind of looked at them because I was thinking, man, I was hoping I would really get some 10s. But the fact of the matter is, I didn't. And when you go back and look, like you can kind of see some minor blemishes or different things that, might detract away from the overall appearance. The problem for me is I don't know what those standards are. What are the standards for grading a booster box? And so I actually talked to CAS because XRAY authenticates. CAS, they actually grade and encapsulate. And so I requested the grading standards from CAS, and unfortunately, they said that that is not something. Here's a 9 for just the regular booster box, and non-first print. They said that's not something that they publicly put out there for their standards. I don't know if that's because it hasn't been like fully worked through or fleshed out or not, but at least they told me. I couldn't find anything. I did see where on several of the different things they grade in different types of scales. What I was most happy about with the CAS grading scale was that they were all whole numbers. 7, 8, 9. There was no 0.5s, no 0.2s, none of that crap. It was just all whole numbers. Now, I don't know if that's just a coincidence, but I hope that they stick with that because that's really worked for, I guess nobody's technically done it all the way like that, but the closest is going to be PSA. They don't have a 9.5, but everybody goes for that 10. You got the 9s, the 8s, and the half grades really don't matter that much, maybe when you get into super high end. But for the most part, it's not that big of a deal. I do hope that 10s are attainable. If you guys remember, I don't know if I have them in here, but let's see, I've got one here. I also sent in Japanese 151 boxes, and this was on a separate submission about the same. It wasn't too long after this submission. They still haven't even been graded yet at XRAY or authenticated at XRAY to be sent to CAS. So I'm hoping that's done soon. They've been put off a few times because of the priority for the vintage products. But I would imagine if I can't get 10s on the 151 boxes that are coming straight out of cases, then the 10 really isn't attainable, and the CAS grading scale, that's going to fall. Like it's not going to have that draw to where people can actually obtain getting the 10s for like what we see in PSA. Like people can collect different things and actually obtain the 10. For the items that I submitted for the Evolving Skies, I kind of agree. Like the 7, 8, 9, those grades seem pretty fair. Of course, I wanted some 10s, but what you want isn't always what's, the actual standard. I'm hoping it's not like graded games where 9.8 is it. For some reason, you can't get a 10. Maybe you can, and I've just never seen them. It needs to be something that's attainable. It doesn't need to be the black label. It needs to be something that's hard, but relatively still doable, especially for boxes that are clean. They're crisp. They're coming straight out of cases. So I hope that I see that with the 151 boxes. Hopefully XRAY finishes up with those soon. They get sent off, and those will be labeled as uncirculated as well because I sent those in as a sealed case. And so that's the goal here. Really, for the cost of what it is on the 151 boxes, I don't know if it's actually worth it, but maybe in time. I think in time it will be, and if 10s are attainable, it might be something that I start sending much more often. But I'm still waiting for that initial batch to get back. Now I'm going to show you guys some base unlimited boxes here soon, but we're going to talk about something else. So I did grade some of these. So here are some of the base first edition blisters. These are a little bit different. If you're looking at them, let me see if I can. Here's the letter of authenticity. Let me see if I can scan this thing now. Yep. I got to X out for some reason. You guys get to see my wordly. At least I thought I could. This is why I like using computers and desktops. All right, so this is XRAY dash 0631. All right, so we have a 1990. I apologize for some of my speech. I still can't really breathe out my nose much. It's part of my mouth. The nose is numb. But 1999 base first edition factory sealed Charizard blister pack. And so you can see right here, this kind of goes through what it is. You can see the verification online. And then here's where you have the X-ray sticker, you have the CAS sticker, and then you have like the label. And you can see this one was graded a 7, in which I believe this one got a 7. Trying to see. This one was, it was pretty good. All the ones I sent in were fairly nice. But I remember there was something specific about this one because I went back and I looked through them and I think I saw what it was. Might be easier to see in better light, but this one got a 7, and it's the original base set blister pack. And with everything that you're seeing today, all of this stuff was done with the authentication, just the LOA, and that means that they scanned it, and the only people who ever saw any images from what could possibly inside were the people at X-Ray. That's it. Internally, I don't know anything about it. However, they do offer another service. I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. I'm going to just set this to the side because we're going to bring this back up specifically because I think this is where you could get into a lot of trouble with one of the services that they offer. But let's just do some grade reveal. So here's the other Charizard. Pulled a 9. Really nice one. Very, very happy with that. Of course, I wanted some 10s, but again, I don't know where their 10 standard is, if it's something that can be done, if it's achievable. Here we had a 9 on this Blastoise first edition base set blister. I'm trying to be careful and not bust these things. 8. And I really like the case on these. It still has that same issue where like you can push stuff, like if you wanted to, you could just take something and slip it down in there. This is a floppy sleeve, and when I say it, I want to actually do it. Well, might not be able to this second. Not necessarily needing to show it again, I guess, but maybe something like this is a little easier. I don't want to get a sticker stuck down in there, but anyways, you can see right here where there is flex in the bottom of that case. Like you can push air in there if you needed to. This is more sturdy than the base set box, but I'm still not sure why that's not sealed unless it has something to do with air pressure, but I would think that there'd be a way that air could come out like a little hole in one of the corners or something, not an entire side. But I like these inserts that keep it from really moving around much. I think that's a good design there. I almost wish that they extended out just a little bit so that it went over the glue, like the plastic part that's around the blister. But either way, I like this design for the blister. Definitely makes for a good display. They freestand on their own. All right, here's the Venusaur. Pulled a 6 on this one. I think, yeah, this one had a crease right across one side. So that one was definitely understandable. And then here's the last one. So I said 2 of each artwork, if you guys remember. Here we have the last Venusaur, and this one also pulled a 9. So had 1 9 for each of the base first edition artworks. All right, the last thing that I'm going to go over is this, because this was going to be the coolest part. All right, so I have a base unlimited booster box, and it's like this right here. This is a blue wing. It pulled a 9. Let me get the other blue wing. Man, I've had these things sitting in my way for quite a while now. All right, here's the other blue wing. Here's an 8. All right, so we got 1 9, 1 8. Here's the thing. I had one that did a full private scan, and I had the other that just did the regular scan. That I had everything else done where it was just authenticity. The problem is I can't show you guys the images for the private scan because they don't know which one it was. And it could have been either one of these. They're trying to figure that out. I think there was some transition between who was working there at X-Ray at the time. But I do want to talk about that because the service that they offer that's for the private scanning is a little bit different than what I got. And I think this is why I kind of got confused up. And we're still trying to figure it out now, which he's already told me they're going to take care of it. But typically what they do for a private scan is they scan the box and then they just provide those scans, as I understand it, to the person who paid for that service. They don't get this X-ray sticker or whatever that goes on it, and then it's put online as a box that's been authenticated like we saw before. Because when they're not in case, you just get this sticker directly onto the box. The only reason the sticker went onto the case rather than the box was because it went from directly from them to CAS, so the chain of custody never broke. But in this case, they were going to be able to also authenticate it and encapsulate it. But what I was told was that they would have to take every card that was inside of the box that we did the full private scan for, and it would have to go onto the letter of authenticity, which makes sense because if they're going to put their name behind it saying this is authentic, and they've actually already scanned it as well, then they need to make sure that that information is shown to anybody who might potentially buy this, or that if it ever gets offered online somewhere, since their name's attached to it. And to me, that makes sense. In fact, I would have something on here that says private scanned or contents available. Just have some kind of little thing that goes on the sticker itself or X-ray or maybe both that indicates, hey, this box has been fully scanned, and the cards or the contents that we found inside of the box, you can find them, at this QR code and this other QR code. In fact, I think this QR code, when these two are working together, like they should be linking to each other. Like they should have clickable links, within the page that these QR codes take them to. Like once I go to CAS, they're like, see your X-ray authentication here. On X-ray, whenever you follow this certification number in their registry, like you can see that this card has been graded. See CAS's, grading and encapsulation here, kind of like a dual thing going back and forth to where it just adds that extra layer because it's already there. Like it wouldn't be hard to make a link for something like that. But what I'm saying is if this box has been scanned, as soon as, the name goes on it for X-ray, there needs to be some kind of trace back to those private scans. So if there's a Charizard in this box or if there's not a Charizard in this box, because you have to imagine if the way it is now, if I understand it correctly, somebody could take a base set box and they send it to X-Ray and say, hey, I just want the private scans. Let me know what's in my box. Then they'll send him images for all of the holos that are in the box. They send the box back to him. Now, if it has a Charizard, he can advertise it as having a Charizard. But if it doesn't, where's the accountability there? So to me, I don't think that that's a good service to offer. I think that's where shenanigans can come into play, and it could hurt X-Ray's name. Whereas they may not have anything to do with, whatever somebody else sells something as, they're enabling it. And the reason this could be like a huge problem is with something like this. Like, what if I did the private service for this? Like, if I go buy a base set Blister, first edition, and I get the private service, I have it scanned, a couple $100, and I know, and there's no holo inside of it. Well, now I'm just going to sell it as a Blister. It's almost like you've weighed it, but it goes farther than weighing. It lets them know exactly what's in there, or at least not what's in there if there's no holo. And so I could sell it as a regular Blister and get full price for it or whatever. But it can also get shady in the fact that what if there is a holo, but it's a Magneton or a Poliwrath? What I can do now, I can sell this as a guaranteed heavy first edition base set Blister. I can just advertise it like that. And I don't have to ever say that I scanned it. I could just say that I know for a fact that it's a heavy base set blister, and I can guarantee that, even though in my head I already know that it's a crap pull. So you just went from like an $8,000 blister to a $20,000 pack, or a $20,000 blister. And then what if you do have something really crazy inside? What if there's a Charizard? Of course, if there's a Charizard inside, that's when you use the image. And you're like, okay, I've got a $250,000 blister right here. Who wants to have the only guaranteed untouched first edition Charizard inside of a booster pack? That's where the big play is. So somebody could go through and buy every first edition base set blister if they have the money, and they could just capitalize off the best ones in the best way, and then sell the rest for bottom dollar as if they had never been scanned. So I think it's an issue if you offer the private scans, especially for this higher end older product, without there being some accountability publicly for what was scanned. And what I liked about the service that I was being offered here, because I was having encapsulated and I was still having their sticker put on there, I had to have that accountability. They were going to make sure that every holo that they found out was printed on the letter of authenticity. There was a mix up. That didn't happen. Pretty much I have 4 base set boxes. I have scans for 2 of them, but I don't know which. I received files that said, here's your Blue Wing box, and it shows the scans inside of the Blue Wing box, but I've got 2 Blue Wing boxes. I don't know which one it was for. Obviously, I wasn't planning on having these boxes opened. It wasn't the plan. That's why I had them graded and I had them, done this way. But it's still, I think it adds to the value. If like, hey, this box here, I know that it's got a base set Charizard in it, and here are the scans. Here's every holo that's in it. And with these, I think there's a little bit less of that chance that people are going to be able to capitalize off of it, because you got to think, if I break it out of this 9 because it doesn't have a Charizard, then I lost the value that I put into actually grading, the time, authenticating, the money that went into authenticating, the money that went into all 3 shipments to X-Ray, X-Ray to CAS, CAS back to me. And then third, I think that there is a lot of value that's added from the fact that I can guarantee that this is an authentic box. Here's the registry for it. You take that away by breaking it out. And so you lose all that authentication with it. So I think there's less likelihood for shenanigans to go on, even with like high-end boxes like this. But when it comes to blister packs that are high-end, there's a lot of room there. But even still, people could find a way to capitalize on this. It's unfortunate. I'm sure there are ways to figure it out and to minimize this kind of thing. But I did want to bring that up because I may have a misunderstanding fully of the services that are offered. And if I do, then I'm going to follow up again once this is fully taken care of. Because I think right now at the moment, what's going to happen is I've got to send the boxes back in, the base ones, at least 1 Blue Wing and 1 Green Wing, and verify that either. So like I've got the scans for one of these boxes. So if I send in this box and it doesn't match the scans, then it's obviously this box. If I send in this box and it does match the scans, then it's obviously this box. And it'd be the same way with the Green Wing. And then I've got to get updated letters of authenticity, where it'll state every card that is in there, because I wanted to buy a service that was completely transparent about what I have. And I wanted to show you guys, I want to show you guys the images. Those are really cool. I'm saving that part because I think you're really going to like it. I'm going to save that part for the follow-up for when this finally gets taken care of, because once this is taken care of, I can show you guys the difference, and I can show you like which box actually has, the cards that are in the images. I can show you the scans that they provide, and then yeah, you'll get to see. There's actually one of the boxes has a mystery in it, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so I've got one of these scanned, for the Blue Wing, one for the Green Wing. I don't know which it is, and that's the only reason I'm not showing you guys the images. But all right, I know this was a long review where mostly I sat here and talked to you guys about this stuff, but I think there's a lot to be said, and this is such a huge potential market. I don't know how mainstream grading booster boxes can be, but I don't see any reason why people would not want to at least have the authentication part for grading booster boxes, at least the older ones. Like if you've ever went and bought a vintage box, then you know the anxiety and stress that it brings of knowing whether or not that thing is real, if it's been resealed. I do wish, with CAS, they would pick a different case. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but see that space right there? Can you hear it? That's where it's moving around. And so they've got an insert over here, but for the vintage boxes, they may need to come back in and do some kind of insert. Or if you want my honest, brutal opinion, I think you need to scrap this whole box. I think you need to get sizes for the boxes that you're grading. Use thicker plastic. I love the rounded edges, and you definitely need to seal this thing up. Like, it doesn't need to have, this part here where you can squeeze the box open. Get some rounded edges. Definitely make sure your glue is dry, because glue getting onto my base booster box is a lot different than my Evolving Skies box. But this is my experience testing with them. I think they're very affordable. I know it's expensive, a couple $100 to do different things. I want to say the most expensive service I had was when I had the vintage boxes. They were fully scanned, and then of course I had them encapsulated. I think that was running like $450, something like that. Which, to have this authenticated, encapsulated, registered online, all that, I mean, that's not bad. It's really not that bad. Scalability, I don't know. Like I said, it's been kind of a slow process, but part of that has been because of the specific things that I've been requesting. I didn't want this sticker on the box. I didn't want, the box getting ruined. I wanted some things that were uncirculated, some things first print. And so that's a lot for them to take and to work and mold with. So if you take anything away from this, don't just take the fact that there were mistakes and different things that have been made along the way, or that I don't like the case. I want you to take that they're actually willing to work with you to try to give you a good experience, but also I think that they're on the right track. It's just they're going to need some constructive criticism and feedback along the way for certain things, and I hope that they include me in that process. Because I want to be there to be like, hey, I could feel the glue on the outside of the case right here. I've got a $40,000, $50,000 box, and I'm willing to spend an extra, let's double the price of the acrylic box so that it's encased thicker, more clearly. It's not rough. I don't know if you can hear that. Like, I can pick off the glue, that it's extra safe. I'm more than willing to do that. Even make the options. Have the cheap acrylic box option for $100, and then have the medium grade for $200, and then the expensive high end whatever $500. Make us pay for it. That's fine. Let us choose. I don't think acrylic boxes are really that tough to get a new mold for. But I think these are still going to display very well. And the fact that I do actually have them inside of these acrylic displays, it is good, because I can put it nice and neat with, you can come over here, grab its letter of authenticity, set it with it. Like, I can imagine this would look really well sitting on a shelf or at a booth. You can set these up, stand them up behind it. You could prove this letter of authenticity there. The customer comes in, they can scan this, see that it's online, that, they've got names that back it up, in addition to all of the regular checks that you can make yourself. All right. It's been over 30 minutes. I'm going to stop ranting there, because I could just keep talking on and on. Like, I'm so excited about the possibility for these services. I just want it done right and in the most honest and open way, transparent, that people aren't getting scammed, or, there's always ways around that people are going to take advantage of things, but you got to work with it. You got to mold and change and pivot as those things come. I hope that these companies can, or they could work with even bigger companies possibly that could help scale it and make sure that everything is done legit. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for sticking it out for the 34 minutes that we've been going here. I'll try to have some more videos out soon. I'm still going kind of crazy with life right now, but I do think about all the extra help I've gotten from you guys here on YouTube over the years, and different people that you guys have sent my way, and just the YouTube algorithm still kicking through some of my old videos. It brings me customers even to this day when I'm not actively reaching out. So thank you guys so much for all the support you've given me, and I'll see you hopefully in the next week.